Hey, this is Dr. Infinity. Welcome to White Pill Media. I have a white pill on me. Just recently, I started reading the Witcher book series just to kind of check it out. I had some friends that have read them, and I wanted to see if it was decent. They described it as decent, not like their favorites or anything, but like worth checking out. So I decided to go for that. I've read Blood of Elves to Lady of the Lake. I decided to save those short story anthologies for last because I heard that they were the best that the series had to offer. And there's that new one, Season of Swords or Storms, whatever, that I'm also going to read. But I've just read these five from Baptism of Fire. What is it? Time of Content, Tower of the Swallow, Blood of Elves, or Blood of Elves is first, and Lady of the Lake. That's it. So I've just finished reading them, and with this channel, I just kind of want to talk about stuff I like and share it with people. But I'm going to get to that at the end and talk about some books I would recommend over these, but I did not enjoy them. So I'm just going to kind of go book by book and just give an overview of like shit I thought was just bad writing. Cause man, oh man. With Blood of Elves, I didn't take too many notes just because I don't know. I was just overall just kind of bored with it, and I didn't really start taking notes until book two. We kind of open with Blood of Elves at this tree where a dandelion is singing about the child of destiny, and there's all these people around. But I just really hated this scene because it's just characters spouting like key words. Yes, King so and so and blah blah blah, the Battle of Sodden, and it's just on and on and on, just dumping these keywords like we have any reference to them. And I don't know if there's an official map of the Witcher world, but in all the books I have, there's no map. I hate it so much. I know that there's the river Yaruga. Sintra is on the opposite side of the river, closer to Nilfgaard than the northern kingdoms. But in terms of like size and exactly where everyone is next to each other, I don't know. I know Kovir is to the north of all these northern kingdoms like Temeria and Redania and all that. But I found that very annoying because you're just listing kings and countries that I have no reference of yet. Yeah, just the first book was just kind of boring. I have only played the first Witcher game and then the third Witcher game. I don't remember anything about the first game, so I can't really talk about it. I know I wasn't like really big on it. I didn't really care for it. And the third game I liked overall. There's some stuff I didn't like, but again, it's been a few years, so I'm really just going to kind of focus on the books. But Shani appeared in this book, and I thought, oh, that was a little surprising. So I remember her being like okay in the game. I think she was a part of DLC. Yennefer and Ciri have this long portion at the end of the first book, and it just goes on and on and on. And it's not like any of the scenes between them are like super detailed or good. It's just like sort of listing little bits of a scene, hopping to another scene, listing a little bit, hopping to another scene. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just like they have no room to develop, and their relationship doesn't really grow beyond just kind of hopping around with them. I didn't care for it. Book two. Something I did like is Geralt and Dijkstra. They're at the banquet on the Isle of Thaned, and I thought they just had some good conversations. I like Dijkstra overall. I wish he had been used a bit more throughout the books, but he's a good character. He's interesting. These books introduce so many side characters, and they give them names and all this bullshit, and they just don't matter, and you don't give a fuck about their stories. And you're like, fucking stop. You already have kind of this core group of characters that you could just spend more time developing them and giving them more scenes, but you're just adding more and more people. Let's see. Book two, I don't have too much about it. Vilgeforce, I found a little cringy, where it's just his conversation with Geralt. He lists out his entire backstory, and I'm like, wow, that's great writing. I don't fucking care. Ciri in the Desert, I found that just very long and just kind of this boring section of the book. I'll then get to the Rats. Oh, the rats. They're great characters. They're teenage murder hobos that I think one or two of them are deserters from the army. The other ones are just kind of low-level bandits that joined up, I guess. But they're amazing. And in all their conflicts, except for the last one, they always win. They never really get injured. And they're just amazing teenage badasses. That just can't fucking lose. And it's just so annoying. And at the very end of the book, Ciri is almost like raped by Kaylee, one of the rats, but instead Missile comes in and rapes her instead. And I don't think there's enough like people that talk about this or like condemn it, where it's like if Kaylee had been the one to do it, I think there would be a lot more outrage because it was from a woman. There really isn't. But what happens between them, that's rape. I would really consider that rape or molestation or something. But the next morning, Ciri kisses Missile and then just like, well, now I'm no longer alone. That's what Ciri thinks to herself. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? You know, just like, I think the author's just a fucking coomer and a piece of shit. And it's like, you wouldn't have done this. Like, if Kaylee had done that to Ciri and then Ciri wakes up the next morning, kisses Kaylee, he's like, wow, I'm not alone anymore. I'm like, I don't believe that at all. It's just, I think that's fucking crazy that the author has that. It's like, I don't know, just like something awful, like a Harry Potter fan fiction. It's like Draco Malfoy molests Harry Potter, and then the next morning, Harry's like, Draco, I love you, you know, mwah, kiss. It's like, Jesus Christ, you know, don't, like, I don't know if I would say, like, glorify it, but, like, Ciri's been alone in the desert. She thinks no one's looking for her, all this shit, and she's terrified. She almost gets raped by a guy, and then another person, her quote-unquote savior, comes in and then finishes what that guy was starting, and then she's like, well, I'm not alone. Sorry for just harping on that, but god damn, you know, that's so bad. I don't think the author is a good writer in regards to that. That's not how that would be written. And it's not like, these are spoilers for all the books, but it's not like Ciri reflects on that later at a later point. It's like, wow, that was really fucked up that happened to me, you know? That's not a good thing. All right, hopping into book 3. Early on, we have some little stuff with Dijkstra. I really like these sections just because I think he's a cool character, and like with him being like the head of like Redania's spies, I think he gets into some cool shit. 41, Ciri is just holding hands and she's really happy with her rapist. Really hate this. It's like, god damn it. Page 75, Zoltan appears. I only know him from the Witcher 3 game, but I'm like, okay, so that's something I did enjoy because I played that game first, and now I'm getting like more context for the games, or I'm like, oh, I remember that character, this character. That's cool. 120, Regis appears, the vampire guy from the, I guess, Blood and Wine DLC. That's right. So that was okay. Another thing is I feel like characters use words that they wouldn't fucking use. Or they shouldn't really have access to based on their setting. Like, Regis has been around for a few hundred years. He's intelligent. But it's just, like, central nervous system and other words. And I'm like, I don't know if they would describe it exactly like we would in modern times. You know, I don't know how they would describe things, but that doesn't feel right to me. 162, we have this... There's this woman who turns out she's a medium, but some religious fanatics have her tied up and they're going to burn her alive. And it's just our very cool characters standing around just like smugly condemning it. And just like, wow, we're so smart and everyone's so ignorant and hateful. And it just feels like a really mediocre section, you know? Like, there are better ways to write it than just witch burning. And God, we're not like them. I don't know. 219, we get introduced to Regis being a vampire. I don't know why I wrote that. I guess I was just kind of interested in it. It felt like very obvious, even if I hadn't played the third game, that the author wasn't being subtle about it. Page 225, this was kind of a big thing for me, where Ciri, she and the rats, they're like in a town, they're gathering supplies and shit. And some some other bandits are mocking Ciri and Missile for being lesbians, right? Okay. And this guy's just laughing at her. He doesn't have a weapon. He's not a threat. But Ciri walks over and she slits his throat and murders him there and then. And I thought that was fucking crazy. And in the fifth Harry Potter movie, and in the books, where Harry's alone, he's just like really isolated, and then Dudley and his gang come by and they're laughing at him and shit and making fun of him for being an orphan, and Harry almost uses magic but he doesn't. But just imagine that scene, and then Harry just draws his wand across Dudley's neck and just slits his throat. Would you sympathize with Harry that much after that? And you're like, wow, Dudley's being a real asshole. And it's like, yeah, he is. He doesn't deserve to be murdered for it, And I know this is just a nameless bandit, and he's not a good person, but neither are the fucking rats. And he doesn't deserve to be murdered for it. And Ciri has no reflection on that later. This guy didn't have a weapon, nothing. It's insane to me that no one talks about it. It's like, hey, Ciri, remember that time you committed murder? Like first-degree murder? Just completely unjustified. And it's like, I don't think you deserve a happy ending for this, or at least like a reduced ending because of like the fucked up shit you've done. I don't know, just watching a character you're supposed to sympathize for commit an evil act that's just evil is, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about this. Not good. I don't really like this author that much. I feel like he's just a coomer. I really feel like he's just a cum-brain individual. And on page 244, Yennefer's been missing since the Isle of Thanedd. She's just kind of disappeared. It turns out that she was smuggled out of Thanedd by the Elf Queen as a jade statue in her cleavage, which is great. Just great writing. Great. And yeah. 249, the word Spanish gets used, which that doesn't work for this world. We're not in Europe. I know it's like based on Europe and like some European fairy tales and such, but we're not in Europe. You can't use the word Spanish or, German or French. It doesn't work. 255, the Lodge talks about wanting to place Ciri on the throne of Kovir and make this kind of northern kingdom that can kind of stalemate Nilfgaard. I thought that was kind of interesting for their plan. 59, Ciri views her past as another life, and I'm like, get the fuck over it. Like, it hasn't been years or, a lot of months. It's been weeks or a few months, and she's now killing people of ease, and she enjoys it. She's even upset that there weren't enough men left over from this raid that the rats committed for her to kill. Yennefer says that she was like a statue for around 40 days, so Ciri went through the portal on the same day as that. So she was wandering on the desert for a while. She got captured by those guys and then joined up with the rats, and so it's been a couple weeks or so, and she's already like a really cold-blooded murderer. She makes no attempt to try to flee the rats and just get the fuck away from these people. 263, they use the words genetic material. Again, I don't think the word choice fits the world. Why would they say genetic? I don't know. That feels a little weird. 266, apparently the legendary figure that is Falca whores herself out to all of the men under her command. Literally all of them. She lets everyone fuck her. And again, the author is just a coomer, and I hate it. 319, this character Milva, who's not an interesting character. None of the characters that follow Geralt and his little crew are interesting. But she wants to get an abortion, and all of the characters just stand around in a big circle and talk about how great it is and how it's her right to have an abortion. Now, I am pro-choice, but in this like medieval fantasy world, would every character really feel this way? No one would have a different opinion. Really? Everyone's just like, yep, woman's choice. And it's like, wow, that's so great and amazing. And it's like, even if they're like, hey, it's her choice, but I don't like it, there's no, I don't know. I don't really believe it. That everyone would be like so happy for this. Or let's see, 340 and like 343, we have like the Battle of the Bridge, and Geralt is knighted by Meve as Geralt of Rivia. And I thought that was kind of cool. Like, I thought the Battle of the Bridge, that was like actually kind of interesting, and a cool scene going on. But that's like the maybe like the only scene that I thought was decent. Oh, and Regis had like some jokes about drinking blood, like book four. Jesus, Ciri gets a page 13. Ciri gets a rose tattoo on her pubic mound, and she gets the same one as Missile, and calls her darling. And they also do drugs. I think it's fish tech or whatever. Jesus Christ. Page 59. Ciri decides to break up with the rats and go along with Hotspur, and she's immediately okay of just fucking with this guy that she just met. Page 68, she runs back because the rats are getting fucking owned. These murderers and rapists are getting owned by an even worse character called Bonhart. He's so boring. He's just so boring. But Ciri screams out that he's a murderer, which I guess that's fucking ironic, Ciri, right? Just whatever. Like, there's no reflection. There's no reflection from Ciri that she's done some evil shit when she's been with the rats. And she never tried to break off from the rats. There's a book I'm going to recommend at the end, but here's kind of a spoiler-free version of something I want to talk about. There's this book, Lonesome Dove. It's this great Western epic about two former Texas Rangers, and they're on a cattle drive to Montana. And there's a character in the book. I'm not going to try to spoil it or anything, but they fall in with a bad crowd. They do some bad shit, and that character gets a bad end, even though he's not as bad as the gang of people he fell in with. And that's justice. He still went along with criminals, He might have not personally done a lot of this evil shit. He was still there. He still helped them, And there's none of that for Ciri. There's none of that for her. It's just, yeah, Ciri, you did a bunch of horrible shit, but oh well, I guess. Oh well. Just because you're a victim and bad shit has happened to you, that doesn't justify you doing a bunch of really evil shit as well. You don't get a free pass for your whole fucking life. Page 85. This is kind of a timeline update where apparently like 2 months have passed since the Isle of Thanedd. Ciri became a bloodthirsty murderer in less than 2 months. What the fuck? In page 91, it says that the events on the island happened in July, and Ciri was wounded by Bonhart on the 23rd of September. So, from July to September, so we're talking July, August, September. Maybe 2.5 months? 2.5 months, and she feels like her past life was a dream, Jesus Christ. Page 108, this is kind of a start, or maybe just the first one I noticed, of the author having these breaks in the story to go to like centuries in the future. And it's like Dandelion's journal was lost, and the author, and they're going on this archaeological notes and shit, and nothing comes of this. Nothing comes of this. And it's like, why? Why are you breaking up the story with shit that literally doesn't fucking matter? Retard. Sorry. 152. Ciri doesn't want to kill anyone in the arena. This contradicts her early characterization. I guess she just kind of flip-flops. When I'm with a gang of murderers and rapists and we're assaulting caravans on the road, that's fine. I like killing there. But I can't kill in an arena. Why? What's the change? 157. The author's done this so many times, but he mentions the marshes and no one's seeing them because no one went up to the window, and he does this to like end chapters. He does it so many times, it just wastes space. I wonder if he got paid for word count or what, but it just sucks. Let's see, page 190, The Witcher and crew, which is him, Dandelion, Milva, Kahir, Regis, and this new girl's stupid name, Angolomai, whatever. But on page 190, Regis tells everyone that he's a vampire and he can't be detected by magic. The new girl, Angolomai, is like right there. She's right there. And she doesn't ask any questions, and she's not surprised by this. She does not know that Regis is a vampire. The author just forgot to write in her reacting to that or questioning that. He's just too fucking lazy, and he skipped over it. It never comes up again. But Regis tells her that he's a vampire. He tells the whole group, and she's like, yeah, okay. Just no thoughts, no reflection on that whatsoever. Let's see. Towards the end of the book, page 265, Geralt says that he's not a Witcher anymore. He's given it up. They're in Toussaint, and the half-elf working for Vilgefortz is burning alive along with Nightingale. And Nightingale's not really a character or anything. It doesn't matter. 283, Dijkstra is at the Kovir capital. This section is really informative, and it's nice to be with a character we like. But we're going on pages and pages and pages about Kovir, and Kovir never plays a role in the remaining books. Kovir doesn't do anything in the remaining books. Why are we wasting so much time in fucking Kovir? You could have shortened this section by so much, and you're like, Dijkstra went on a diplomatic mission, Kovir didn't help them, that's it. 5 pages, if that. Then we're with Yennefer and Skellige after she escapes from the lodge and she got picked up in a fishing boat and blah, blah, blah. Yennefer's apparently 94 years old. Let's see. Page like 317, 318. I know that The Witcher takes inspiration from like European tales and everything, but could it not try a little more? Because people always talk about the rich world that The Witcher builds, and I'm like, it's literally just lifting directly from Norse mythology. Why couldn't you be bothered to develop your own world a little more than just lifting directly from Norse mythology? 351, just something that kind of annoyed me. So, page 351. Nilfgaard has equality for women in the army, and prisoners of the opposite sex are housed in the same jails. This is stupid. This is really, really dumb, and it doesn't exactly make sense. Page 352, these two characters, the Skara sisters, served on the front lines and are veterans of numerous battles. Very believable. This is very believable. Because just make me believe the fucking world we're in, you know? Like, women are pretty powerful because they do magic and shit, and, yeah, blah, 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 and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But, heavily armored male knight versus this really small woman with the sword or whatever weapon, and they're veterans of numerous battles. Make me believe the world, because you know all this shit with like sports now, and like Troons getting into female sports and shit, and they're just dominating the competition, and it's fucking gay, and that's awful. And it's like, okay, if that's happening in today's time, just how in this fantasy world, if like just a single man is just outclassing all kind of natural women that much, then what would happen on a battlefield when we were swinging a heavy weapon? I don't know. Just it doesn't fucking work. The 358 Rents, he appears. He was following Tawny Owl and his really great and interesting group that no one gives a fuck about. Using invisibility. 362 and page 365, he talks about like the Feast of Salmon, and he mentions banshees, and Ciri's horse is called Kelpie, and there are all these references to Irish and Scottish mythology, and I'm just like, I thought the Witcher world was supposed to be deep and interesting, and it has its own mythology. What the fuck is this doing here? You know, this isn't for you. It's 376, Tawny Owl wants a democracy and everyone laughs at him. I thought that was an okay joke. I honestly didn't think that was too bad. 379, Ciri gets the power to use magic again, because why the fuck not? You know, why not? Why wouldn't she, right? A little stupid. Page 392, Ciri is hunting down some of Tawny's men, and we're in a bar, and we get the point of view from a blind man who isn't a good observer and then crawls under the table to really not see it. So we're from his point of view when we just want a decent action scene with Ciri, and we don't fucking get that. I don't know how that works, and it doesn't. Just really dumb idea. Page 430, I have the Wild Hunt appearing here, and then everyone after Ciri is for the most part dead, except for Bonhart, because Bonhart is a really interesting character, and we need more from Bonhart because we really want to know what happens to Bonhart, this really great villain. So interesting. Book 5. God damn it. Oh, this is going to take a while. Page 7, it's we're in the court of King Arthur, or the world of King Arthur. I don't know why. It's just boring, and Ciri having the ability to travel through worlds, that's not really brought up before this book. I know that there's the conjunction of spheres, and that has been mentioned, but like world hopping, that feels like very new to this book. Page 21, we're in a time period removed hundreds of years into the future with Sidolphus and Nimue, whatever. And I don't know why. I don't know why we're in a time period far removed from the actual events of the books. Why do this? It's just bad writing. Page 48, I wish this was a cooler character, but Bonhart shows off his Witcher medallions. And I don't know if this was like confirming Witcher schools. Like the cat head, he has an eagle one, he has a wolf one. But I thought that was interesting, and I wish Bonhart was a cooler villain. Because this idea of this guy that can take on Witchers and win consistently, I thought that was neat. Page 78, Witcher is in, or Geralt is in Toussaint. He's tasked with killing a succubus from the Toussaint noble women, and the noble men are willing to pay him to not kill it. I thought that was kind of funny. I thought that was a decent joke from the author. Again, like, some of these land where I'm like, oh, that's kind of amusing, but a lot of them are not, and he just kind of bogs down his writing. Page 94, all these knights have been swearing upon the heron and taking these oaths, and Geralt has been screwing this sorceress Fringalla, this Nilfgaardian sorceress, and he says that he swears on the heron to end their conversation. I thought that was pretty funny, or decent. Page 102, they're fucking in the library, and they're knocking over priceless books that can't be replaced and damaging them, and I just don't care. They later fuck in the horse stables, and I'm like, God, that's romantic, you know, just fucking next to a pile of horse shit. Because as you do, you and your girl, when you're looking to do something a little romantic, you just hop into a public restroom and you just fuck her right there and then on the floor, right? That's what you do. Just feels juvenile and just dumb. You can definitely have sex in books, but at least make it good, I guess. Let's see. Page 21, or 121, Reinhardt, he's this Toussaint knight that has kind of helped Geralt and his crew at a few times. And, of course, he's cucking this guy, and he's fucking this merchant's wife while he's away. It seems like everyone is just cheating on each other, and everyone's just terrible people, and I don't fucking care about any of them or what happens to them, and I just hate it. I hate all of them. And then, okay, so page 129, Geralt finds this surveillance post underground. He was hunting some monsters, and he just stumbles upon it. It's completely random, and he gets to listen in on Tawny Owl and some other Nilfgaardians, and they tell him exactly where he needs to go to find Vilgefortz and Yennefer. What are the odds? What are the fucking odds? What an awesome coincidence. Jesus Christ. I hated this so much. Like, why not contact, like, Dijkstra or someone else? Like, literally anything else than, hey, I just happened to find it. Hey, I just happened to find the information we needed. I fell ass backwards into it. I didn't use any of my resources or talent, or literally did nothing to kind of deserve to find this. Page 159 and like 174, Ciri is in the land of the elves, and they want to use her to have a baby so they can open a permanent gateway and rescue the elves from her world, the humans too. I think it's convenient for the plot that their elf king just can't maintain and get an erection, and that's why this is the only reason Ciri isn't impregnated right now. 183, the humans are servants to the elves in this world. And then 202, we see a mass grave of humans, and we realize that the elves killed the humans that lived in this world, and that the elves are the invaders. Ooh, that's a twist. Page 223, we're with Jar. Remember that character from the first book, and I guess maybe the second book? The super relevant, important character of Jar? Well, he's back. And we get a taste of some modern day, or not modern day, but I guess World War II era propaganda posters plastered on a wall. That makes sense. That fits the world. Great writing. Really good world building. That's not jarring at all. See, jarring? That's pretty good. Page 230, some dwarves make a joke about whores, because Jar says, well, this is a pretty big war. Isn't this going to be the war to end all wars? And they're like, see that whore over there? She's pretty big, massive even, but she's not the whore to end all whores. I thought that was decent. Page 237, the poor fucking infantry. I think that was a Gwent card. I thought that was pretty decent. Page 257, Ciri is visiting various worlds. Some are interesting, but you only get kind of snapshots, so even the ones you think are interesting, you're only there for a page at most. Ciri almost gets raped again. That happens a lot in these books. I'm not a male feminist or really anything like that, but goddamn, there's a lot of fucking rape. Page 301, so there's this big battle going on between the northern kingdoms forming an alliance and Nilfgaard doing this kind of final big push. And on page 301, it literally tells us the outcome to this battle in the middle of it happening. We know that the North wins and Nilfgaard loses, and it also gives us Jar as a historian years into the future and various other characters. So we know that they survived the battle, and this battle doesn't involve any of our main characters. Not Geralt, not Yennefer, not Ciri. Really no one that we know except for these super minor characters. And it introduces a bunch of new characters that no one can give a fuck about. It's so bad. It's so bad. Also, apparently the Lodge takes control, even though that they're fairly evil, and Philippa and them do a lot of really shady shit. Page 312. Cohen, the Witcher, he dies in the battle. I think he got mentioned a few times, and he was at Kaer Morhen in the first book, Blood of Elves, but I haven't read the first two short story collections yet, and I'm going to, so I don't know if he's more of a character in those, but that's one thing that stood out to me, where the Witchers never appear outside of that first book. We don't see Vesemir or Eskel or Lambert or any of these guys, and I thought they would just pop in every now and then, or Geralt would have some stories about them that he would share, but that never happens. I don't know. That just feels kind of shitty. Page 334, Jar is such a cuck that his granddaughter is named after Ciri. What a fag, man. One, this bitch is evil. Or not evil, but at least she's done some fucked up shit. She never gave you the time of day, and you name your granddaughter after her, and she's a pretty bad person. Go fuck yourself. Page 336, it lists all these characters that are unimportant, their biographies, and it also mentions that Ciri inadvertently brought the Black Death to their world, and it killed lots and lots of people. I know that's not necessarily her fault, but still, her actions have consequences. Well, how could she know? But I thought that was just a weird detail to throw in. Why? If none of the characters are going to reflect on it, what's the point of it happening? Oh, and then we get to the murder caravan part. Milva's dead, boom. Cahir's dead, boom. Angolomine dead, boom. She's such a good character, too. She calls Milva auntie, and that's the extent of her character, and she maybe wanted to open up a brothel in Toussaint. Oh, not her. Not Cahir. He was great. And Regis saved Ciri at this point in the castle, and then Ciri tells him to go away, and he just goes away. And there's not a good reason for it. There's not a good reason for Regis to leave, and it just doesn't fucking make sense. And then Regis gets melted by Vilgefortz. And then Geralt finishes off Vilgefortz while Ciri kills Bonhart. But Bonhart's not an interesting villain, so I didn't really care when he died. He wasn't a compelling villain. None of these villains were compelling in any way, really. Page 381, Ciri, Geralt, and Yennefer are together. Ciri calls Yen mama. Yen calls Ciri her daughter. This just feels very forced to me, where they interacted somewhat in books 1 and 2. They had a decent amount of interaction together, but there wasn't like a ton of it, because after like the first half of book 2 or so, they haven't seen each other. They have had no interaction since then, and it's just like these books just feel like they've just been fucking hopping around just searching for each other. Where's Ciri? Where's Yen? And just playing hide and go seek. And this just feels kind of forced to me, this connection. Maybe in the short stories they have a deeper relationship. I don't know. I'm going to check them out. Page 388, Amir is Dunny, Ciri's father. That kind of threw me for a loop. I was not fucking expecting that. Because I didn't read the short stories. I didn't really know who Dunny was, just that Geralt was promised a child for like helping Dunny marry Ciri's mom. I don't know why they would do that or go along with that. Amir had this scheme to have incest with Ciri to produce children that would rule and unite the world, but on seeing her cry, he decides to let her go. All of these years of scheming and plotting and doing horrific things where hundreds of thousands of people have been killed for this plan, and he sees Ciri cry once and he immediately gives up. That's out of character. That's bad writing. Page 434, someone cries out, "Long live Dijkstra." I thought that was amusing. Page 441, Black Rayla apparently survived. I think she was killed in book 1, but now she's called White Rayla. And you're like, why? Why is this character back? I don't understand. Why are you bringing back random sub-characters when you could be having scenes developing the characters we do have and we do like? I don't understand. Oh, and by the way, really horrific, but Geralt and Yennefer are just like, I'm tired, and they just accept a suicide pact while Emir's going to take Ciri away. They give in to, we're just going to have sex and then we're going to kill ourselves, and Ciri's going to be raped by her own father and forced to produce children to sit on the throne. And they don't fight. Even though they would probably most likely lose against Amir and his guys, you fucking fight. You fight for Ciri, because what was the point of the series if you're just willing to give in and commit suicide? Page 451, Philippa was apparently involved in the assassination of Redania's king, one evil cunt. It's also mentioned in page 455 that one of the stupid intros to a chapter where it's just like some random shit about the world, where Phil is called Saint Phil, and she was murdered and tortured by this holy man. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, she's done some fucked up shit. Like, the Lodge is as evil as the Northern Kings, or really anyone that's scheming around Ciri. Anyone that has plotted to use Ciri for something has done some evil shit and plans on doing some evil shit and using her as a pawn or a weapon. But the Lodge never gets their shit pushed in like anyone else. This really made me mad. But page 459, Ciri says on September 9th that 6 young people were murdered in jealousy. Yes, 6 murderers and rapists were killed in jealousy. That is correct, Ciri. You're right. Yeah, apparently the people of jealousy decided to decorate and make this really nice grave for the rats. Beautiful. What the fuck was this? Ciri gets down and prays and cries over the burial mound. And it's just like the rats were not redeemable. They weren't good people. They should have been burned alive. They should have been tortured. They murdered a lot of innocent people. And so what if they threw some blood money to poor people? That doesn't fucking matter. If someone rides through town, hacks off your neighbor's head who has a nicer yard than you, and tosses you a few coins, What the fuck? I hate Ciri so much. She's such a just for that, where it's like, let me pay respect to the rats. Oh my god. She's not a good person. She doesn't deserve a happy ending. Page 471, Dandelion is almost executed, but he gets spared. I thought that scene was kind of amusing. I thought it was decent. Page 510, The Witcher's Sword as a tavern name. I actually thought that was kind of a cool name for a tavern. I'm not going to lie. I thought that was pretty cool. Page 513, Geralt is dying, and he has this flashback of Kaer Morhen, and it's like, this is the first time we've had like any type of scene with the fellow Witchers since the first book, and it's a death flashback, it's like a death flashback. Hate that. Page 528, Geralt and Yennefer have died in Ciri is kind of setting off for Camelot. It doesn't address that the Wild Hunt is still pursuing her across worlds. Nothing gets resolved like that, and I don't know. I just kind of overall hated all of it. Just feels really poorly written. I do plan on checking out those short story installments. I ended up really disliking Ciri, who started off as this sympathetic character that I wanted to be happy. She has no self-reflection about her past, and her personality just kind of shifts to whatever, from being a cold-hearted murderer to I can't kill, I won't kill, I'm not a bad person. I don't like it. I don't think she deserves happiness, or she should at least face some sort of punishment. It doesn't matter that bad things have happened to her. That doesn't excuse committing villainous acts. I'll recommend a few books. If you want to check those out, if you also didn't like the Witcher books and you just wanted to have someone bitch about them. But Lonesome Dove, it's an epic. It's one of my favorite books. It might be my favorite book, but two retired Texas Rangers, strong cast of supporting characters, make their way from Texas to Montana on this cattle drive. It's excellent. It's some of my favorite characters that have been written. I think McMurtry really does characters well. The Choir Boys is a black comedy written by Joseph Wamba. It's about these LA cops, and the chapters are broken up into the pairs of officers when they're on patrol, and then we have some other sections where they go to quote-unquote choir practice, where they blow off steam, drink, and like vent about their days in this park, and they also run a train on a couple of fat cocktail waitresses. It's really good. It's dark. My favorite character is Baxter Slate. And if you make it to the part where Father Willie becomes a legend, let me know. I think it's an excellent book. I don't know if women would necessarily enjoy reading it, but I really enjoyed it. The Black Company is a book written by Glenn Cook. It follows this mercenary group that's employed by this Dark Lord in this fantasy world, and it kind of just follows them for a while. I don't want to say anything really more about The Black Company, but I think that's a pretty decent book too. That's really it. I'm probably going to cut this video up because of right now it's like 50 minutes, and I didn't think I could bitch about the Witcher books for 50 minutes, but apparently I did. So probably going to break this up. Maybe Lady of the Lake will be its own video, or I'm not sure. I might just leave it as is, but fucking hell, I hate this shit. I was really disappointed. But I hear the first two short story collections are good. Maybe they are, and I just need to read those. And yeah, that's it. Dr. Infinity out. I got some other random videos on my channel if you want to look at those. Thanks.